I started to notice this when I covered this video, the SpongeBob episodes they tried to ban. This is from one of my most popular videos covering SpongeTruths. SpongeTruths is homophobic. This is the SpongeTruths homophobic video. I know it doesn't look like it because they changed the thumbnail to this weird war one. The thumbnail was a bit more offensive before they changed it. You can go check out my video on that and see that. I documented the original thumbnail and all that sort of stuff, so you can go see it on that video. And I noticed with this video that it didn't get a lot of views. Like for SpongeTruths, I was surprised. In fact, this has 11K views. So anyway, SpongeTruths is homophobic. You'll notice that SpongeTruths is homophobic actually has more views than the video that I was covering. It's like the first time that the video covering a SpongeTruths video actually got more views than the actual video. And then it happened again with the politics one. They're a little closer, the politics one. But the difference between Jackson Finelli podcast and SpongeTruths is that this is my second channel where I put the streams. It's not my main channel. My main channel has, like 17,000 subscribers now? So this is my second channel, and it's also my channel where I put stream highlights. So these videos will get less views because fewer people watch videos that are like this long and are just someone talking rather than like the edited video essays on my main channel that get way more views. So the fact that these videos are even getting more views than SpongeTruth's video essay content is pretty bad for SpongeTruth. So I started to notice at around this time that SpongeTruth's view counts were going down. Now, if we look a little back, SpongeTruths had two major pop-offs. This one with Narlene, why SpongeBob fans avoid episodes with her, with 629,000 views. I was worried that this video was actually going to get 1 million views. I was actually glad it didn't. I missed this about Bikini Bottom, which also has 450,000 views. I have covered both of these videos, actually. I've covered like so much of SpongeTruth's channel. I've covered both of these videos. And this Patrick's Friend one got over 100K. This very disrespectful one about how many characters were killed off got over 100K. We see 100K right here. 54K, 200K, over 100K, 50, 50, 100, 100. You know, like we're seeing the view counts every so often. Let's see, you got a 22K. That was kind of a low point for them, is 22K right here. But like generally they're getting in the 30, 50,000 and then even like higher 100K view ranges. Just a couple months ago, like they were really on fire. You know, they were getting very consistent viewership. And now we look at more recent videos. Right after around this one, this video, this world building buses one, this is their last video that I would say was successful. You know, not to say that like 11K views or like 10K views is bad. Like if you're someone who is like just starting out as a YouTuber, you might be like, what do you mean 10K views is failing as a video? Like I would kill to get 10K views. Like a year ago, I would say that. I'd be like, I'd love to get 10K views on videos. I had gotten a couple of videos that have done that well as of a year ago, but it wasn't consistent. Now all of my videos get over 10K views. It's like 10K views is like a baseline for me. And again, SpongeTruths has 146,000 subscribers. I have, let's go to my main channel. So we got 17.4K subscribers. And so like my regular show video didn't do great. Regular show's not that popular, unfortunately. Glad I did this. I love regular show. I wanted to cover the lost tapes. I'm still glad I did it. It wasn't very hard to do. You know, we got like 23K here. Like these are kind of the lower videos in like the 20K area. Animal Farm. The political videos don't do as well on the main channel, which is funny because on the podcast channel, people seem to really like the political videos. That probably has to do with people who consume video essay content compared to people who consume live stream content. I think people who consume live stream content are just a little more wanting to hear politics, whereas I think maybe people who watch video essays prefer to just hear about the show, so that's probably why political videos don't do as well. But these are the lower points. But if we look like Mario Galaxy Movie was a little outside of my main topics, you know, like it wasn't SpongeBob, basically. You know, I'm starting to do well with non-SpongeBob. Family Guy, we can see, has been doing well. So I'm trying to expand a little bit with that. My channel, I only have 17,000 subscribers. I have like 10 times fewer subscribers than SpongeTruths, and I'm pulling much better consistency than him. Like if you look, I got my 116,000, my Family Guy, SpongeBob season 17, and this one I posted today is 3.7 in 1 hour. Like it's pretty solid. I'm in good shape beyond SpongeTruths. So I think it's interesting that as SpongeTruths is going down, I am going up. These like ones they tried to be political. They tried to be political here. They were political here. And it didn't really do very well for them. Like I said, video essay content, like people who watch SpongeTruths don't think about politics, like, I mean, maybe they do. Like, I'd even like to make fun of them and say like people who watch SpongeTruths, ooh, like they're like politically, on the opposing side. I don't think that they are. I think that it's people who are genuinely like apathetic. Like, like not to say that people who consume like, a ton of like Republican, like right wing content, that they're not messed up in their own way. But most of those people, they watch like the propaganda. Like that's what they enjoy. People who watch SpongeTruths are either little kids or people who are trying to turn their brain off. So of course these political videos weren't going to do well. Of course they weren't. Like, they don't care about those subjects, At least my channel is a bit more academic, so my audience may be a little more willing to engage with that sort of stuff. They broke the rules. What's with the Steven Hillenburg in the background? Did I watch this one? It says I watched it. I don't remember watching this one. I just think it's disrespectful that the AI goes like out of its way to reference Steven Hillenburg because AI is picked up on that people respond very emotionally to Steven Hillenburg, and it just kind of cynically goes into that. Like it's messed up. They're trying to lean a lot into like hated characters. Like they saw that the Narlene one did really well, so they're like, oh, let's do an episode about how much people hate Slappy. Didn't do as well. Let's do videos about, people hate Squidina and Bubble Bass and Doodle Bob for some reason. Doodle Bob's not really that hated. I don't know why that one is in there, but can tell that they're kind of grasping at straws. They're trying to do some of the videos that worked earlier. Look, no one noticed. Their other one that did really well, Secret Room, everyone missed this about Bikini Bottom. Like they're trying to do the stuff that worked before and it's just not. So what is it that is doing this to SpongeTruths? I got to really ask the question, is it me? Am I doing this to SpongeTruths? I cover them a lot, Is it maybe Ava? Look, 155K views on Ava covering SpongeTruths. AI YouTuber lies about SpongeBob. Ava, 155K. SpongeTruths. Like they SpongeTruths video about stoicism, 145K views. Like, I'm sure between me and Ava, I think Ava has had more of an effect on SpongeTruths, even though Ava has done fewer videos on SpongeTruths. I cover SpongeTruths all the time. Like, look at all my different SpongeTruths. Like, here's a SpongeTruths, here's a SpongeTruths, here's a SpongeTruths, like, here's one. There, SpongeTruths, like 3 in a row, SpongeTruths. I cover SpongeTruths like all the time. It's because I have a second channel. So like Ava, it's all on one channel. So like Ava has, there's like Ava doing an AI channel video where he criticizes an AI channel. And then right next to it, he's got, his review of Brainless Brawn and now his Weenie Head Jr.'s video. Like they're on the same channel, but I have a separate channel. So like when I cover SpongeTruths 3 videos in a row on Jackson Finale Podcast, no one questions it. But I think if Ava covered SpongeTruths like 3 videos in a row, it'd be like, well, like, do you still cover the main show? It'd be a whole thing. It'd be a different way of organizing it. So I cover SpongeTruths a lot more, and I get around 10K views per. But that could be having an effect, like people, I'm sure a lot of people who watch my SpongeTruths content, they already don't like SpongeTruths. I'm sure, I'm sure that most people who watch this are like, I don't like AI. I don't like SpongeTruths. I don't like all this stuff. And that's why they're watching it. But I'm sure that there's plenty of people who are of these 14K, 15K, 23K viewers of these videos, 26K, 37K, SpongeTruths most disgusting videos. That's, I think, one of my best performing ones. There's plenty of people who watch that stuff. They say it all the time. They go, I realize that SpongeTruths is AI because of you. I unsubscribe from SpongeTruths because of you. So maybe with my stuff out there, there are enough people who now, when they see SpongeTruths, because they're aware of me, they don't click on the video. And that might be enough to signal to YouTube, oh, this channel doesn't do as well, and that harms their views. Another thing too is that I question this a lot. You'll notice in my titles and thumbnails, I literally just say SpongeTruths is homophobic. Like I refer to SpongeTruths by name. I actually heavily debated doing this because I felt like it was too niche of a reference. Like, do people actually know SpongeTruths by name? Like I thought about just saying like this AI, like this actually, I did a title test. There was a different title of this one and it tested between the two. And it said this AI SpongeBob channel is homophobic, but SpongeTruths is homophobic actually did better. So when I actually call out SpongeTruths by name, the videos do better. And I think people who watch SpongeTruths, YouTube sees that people click on SpongeTruths videos, and I think they recommend them my videos because it says like the person is like, oh, I'm watching SpongeTruths. Is SpongeTruths actually going to go away? It could happen. Like it could happen. There are a lot of these AI channels that straight up do give up. Like, for example, this is Mustard Pregnancy. We looked at Mustard Pregnancy in the Why Do AI Channels Steal Theories. He was big in the white thumbnail meta. He was a big white thumbnail theory, stealing theories, doing theories. They haven't posted in 10 months. They weren't even really going down that much in views. Not even that long before they stopped. They had a 500K. But something happened where Mustard Pregnancy found that it was not worth it to keep doing this. And I wonder if that'll happen to SpongeTruths. Cartoonology is another channel that is pretty rapidly losing views. Oh, wow, they're doing even worse. Cartoonology's done. Cartoonology is finished. My goodness. Oh, and they for some reason got 100K views. Why did this get 100K views and then the very next one got 4.9K views? And then what is it about this thumbnail or this video that is so crazy? I don't really want to go and examine it, but what's happening with Cartoonology is that we looked at this in a previous stream where Cartoonology has videos now where the footage in the videos or the images in the videos doesn't even have anything to do with what the narrator is talking about in Cartoonology. Like it'll literally be just unrelated. And that was not always the case with Cartoonology. There were plenty of videos, gross. There were plenty of videos of theirs that were correct, that like they used the right footage. So it just means that they were running out of money to pay an editor. And it's going to this vicious cycle where they can't afford to pay an editor as much, so the videos have lower quality, so then they end up getting less views. And I think that this might be happening to SpongeTruths as well. Why don't we see how SpongeTruths is doing?
Barnacle Boy is old enough for a senior discount, despite...
Yeah, he also lives in a retirement... What a weird thing to open with. Barnacle Boy is old enough for a senior discount. Like, sure, but also he like lives in a retirement home. I don't know. I think it's a weird thing to open on.
Mr. Krabs, how old do you have to be to serve in a war, open a successful restaurant, and still be running it yourself to this day? You see...
How old do you have to be to serve in a war, open a restaurant, and run it yourself? Is he trying to say that Mr. Krabs is like crazy old? Like, because that's not an unbelievable amount of things that someone could do in a lifetime. I'm sure lots of people who fought in wars opened restaurants later on in their life. I'm sure that's happened and still be running it to this day. So that implies to me that it's like taking the timeline too seriously, because obviously like time doesn't really pass in SpongeBob. The characters are all like, I guess the most obvious example is Pearl is 16 in season 1. She's still 16 in season 27 or season 27. We haven't gotten that far yet. Season 17. Is it going to be like Mr. Krabs has been running the Krusty Krab for 25 years? Because let's just get into it. I guess there's like some weird timeline things with Mr. Krabs. Let's see what it's doing.
First, I thought this was gonna be a fun little counting exercise. Add up some birthdays, do some math, slap a number on everybody. Roll credits. It was not that.
Roll credits. That's such a that's like an AI thing where it's like, I thought this was going to be easy. Roll credits. I feel like I've heard them use like mannerisms like that before, where something like seems simple and job done, you know, like that just sounds like a thing. This is going to be similar to the theories discussion. So like my knee-jerk reaction is to be like this doesn't matter. Like like in a cartoon, there's going to be contradictions of the characters' ages. It's not exactly the sort of thing that is like confirmed. With like the case of SpongeBob, the show actually goes out of its way to not tell you his age. I think for like just kind of keeping it like ambiguous of if he's like a kid or if he's like a teenager. I guess he's definitely not a kid. He's canonically an adult. He lives in his own house. But like, they don't want you to know exactly what SpongeBob's age is. It just kind of muddies the whole show. So I feel like they go out of their way to not say SpongeBob's age. Like I just kind of get into stuff where it's like, okay, but like we should acknowledge that like it's a show and like so the ages get retconned. You have like Camp Coral, you have like all this stuff. So it's like you can't even have a consistent answer. Truth or Square, there's a lot of nonsense with it where like in Truth or Square, SpongeBob is a baby, but like Squidward is like working at the Krusty Krab. Also, it looks like it's the 50s. So it's like, what? A good video maker, which SpongeTruths is not, could take that overly seriously to the point and make it entertaining. This is what we learned with the whole like Alex Bale video. I have started the process of creating my own theory video. I actually have one in the works. I don't want to reveal anything about it yet, but stay tuned. So I'm doing a little bit of the taking the show seriously, but in my theory, I do acknowledge a lot of like storytelling stuff, but like I'm also like a storytelling guy. So I do think that there isn't anything like too wrong with trying to like guess the characters' ages and making a video about that. I just think that when you're SpongeTruths and you're coming at it from a cynical, oh well, like how do I just find something to talk about to get views or whatever? I feel like it's going to just do it poorly. It's going to do it wrong. It's going to just be a bunch of recapping of episodes saying, oh, this happened in an episode. Oh, isn't that a contradiction of age? And it's just like all very dull. It's all very, I think what a video like this needs is it needs a broader hook of like why the ages are off or something. And maybe that's what would tie it together. But instead of just being like, Mr. Krabs is 56 or whatever because of this, is like, I feel like I would accept that sort of video from a human creator. And I think that there are things that a human creator would do that would make that video good. So like a human creator could do this video bad. Like it could be boring for a human creator to just be like, oh yeah, their age is this or whatever. And I might just be like, come on. You can do better than that.
Just a video about numbers, you're also going to see why the show keeps dodging the answer. So naturally.
Oh, okay. So like that was kind of what I just said of SpongeBob goes out of its way to not confirm ages. So maybe that's more substance than I would have initially thought. I mean, it's SpongeTruths, so like we'll see.
14th, 1986. It shows up in Sleepy Time, and then mysteriously, every later version of that license has the birth date wiped off. Almost like somebody at Nickelodeon realized people were doing math. The problem is, if we're
I guess that's one way of putting it. It's probably because like in the early seasons, the show wasn't like that big. Like they didn't know that the show was going to be this like big sensation. And then as the show got bigger, they're like, we got to have more like rigid rules. Whereas like in season 1, when they showed the driver's license, they were probably like, oh yeah, driver's license have a birthday. Well, like, let's just put SpongeBob's birthday as 1986, which I guess would have made him only like 13 as of season 1. So, I guess that would have not made a lot of sense at all. Even getting your driver's license, you'd have to be 16. So like, even by adult standards, you know what I think it is? It's probably someone's kid's birthday. Wouldn't that make sense? Because if it was 1986 and the show was made in 1999, it would be like someone on the crew probably had like a 13-year-old kid. And that's probably what the birthday was. And they were like, pick a birthday. And they just like put their kid's birthday so that they were like immortalized. Because look, it even says expires 12/14/03. So it actually does mean that the driver's license would be in 1999 when the episode aired. So I don't want you to pull SpongeTruths some kind of season 1 takes place in 2017 because SB 129 says that the year is 4017. Like, people will say that SpongeBob takes place in 2017. Even in 1999, it took place in 2017 because it says 2000 years later. But obviously, like, 2000 years later could just mean around 2000 years later. Like, you know, like we would say that, like, I don't know, I guess weird example, but like we would say the birth of Christ was 2000 years ago, you know, but it was actually, if it was actually 2026 years ago, if that is even accurately the date, we would still say 2000 years ago, even though it would have been 2026 years ago. Like that, you know, like that's, you just round at that point. So
he is about 10 years old. And because baby Pearl's still in diapers, run that 15-year gap forward, and SpongeBob lands somewhere around 25, 26 during the main series.
Okay, so it's saying that he would be 25 or 26 because he's 10 years older than Pearl because of Camp Coral. Okay, so
during the main series. You'll get 39 if you just count from 1986 to today.
That's such a poor take, though. Like, no one would accept that because characters don't age in real time in cartoons. So, like, that doesn't actually make any sense. You could kind of argue that the driver's license implies that he's 13 because it would be 1999 and it says expires in 2003. So, like, which would mean that it would probably have been issued in 1999. When the episode aired, or if the episode aired in 2000 or something like that. So, like, you could kind of say that when, like, that's when the show aired, but you can't really act like the show today actually takes place in 2026 and SpongeBob was born in 1986. Because wouldn't that, like, it's either a fluid timeline, like, for example, like in The Simpsons, Bart is always 10 years old. So, like, The Simpsons, now it's 2026. That means that Bart would have been born in 2016. You know, like, it would be a moving timeline. So, if in the episode that was in 1999, you presume it takes place in 1999, and SpongeBob is canonically 13, which he's not, like, you know, like, there's other problems with that, but let's just take that at face value. That would just mean that his birthday moves. So, his birthday would actually be now 2013. That's what that would mean in the moving timeline. But also, SpongeBob is not a show that comments on current events, unlike The Simpsons. In The Simpsons, because The Simpsons is often topical, it references real-world celebrities, real-world events, The Simpsons, the year that The Simpsons takes place in matters. Same thing with South Park, same thing with Family Guy. SpongeBob doesn't. SpongeBob is timeless. It exists outside of regular time. You don't actually really need it doesn't have references to, like, topical celebrities or topical moments. So it doesn't really need to have that sort of fluid timeline. Anyway, these are all of the interesting things you can actually discuss instead of just going, he's 39 years old because this said 1986 and now we just count it to today. Because no cartoon works like that. I think that it's just worthless to even say this. Like, any human cartoon reviewer, this is kind of what I was talking about, how, like, a human would just not say this, you know, like, maybe they'd say it, like, maybe they would say it and then they would go, cartoons have moving timelines. But I really don't understand why you would even consider this to be valid of, oh yeah, he was born in 1986 and he's 39 now. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
He is proven to be the easiest one since he has the most clues in this show. So flashes.
Wait, but he just said that it was easy to say his age, but you didn't give us an answer. It is deliberately ambiguous. I guess Camp Coral does kind of ruin it. Because, like, you do know that SpongeBob would be in his mid-20s if he was 10 in Camp Coral. Like, it gives you so much more of a range. Because Pearl being a baby and then she's 16, yeah, that does straight up reveal it. It does straight up. I didn't mention that because I discussed SpongeBob's age in another video. And I probably made that video while I was researching Camp Coral. I wonder why I didn't think of that. Because I think it does kind of weaken. I think it does kind of weaken SpongeBob that he can't be 30 now because of Camp Coral. I think the range of SpongeBob's possible age should have been between, like, 18 and 35. I think leaving it ambiguous between those ages, I think is what SpongeBob should be. I think Camp Coral really ruins it. Camp Coral really messed up the franchise, man. It really did.
Eugene H. Krebs, born November 30th, 1942. When the show premiered in 99, he was 56, pushing 84 these days. A solid...
Again, like, he didn't. They don't age in the show. Like, you can't argue that because Pearl is the same age. They just did an episode last season where Pearl was in high school. If Mr. Krabs was 56 in the first episode in 1999, he's 56 now, and his birthday just changed because it would be a fluid moving timeline. This is a thing that happens in cartoons all the time. And yes, it is hard to wrap our heads around. Yes, it is weird that Homer Simpson would have been born in 1990. That's very weird that Homer Simpson would have been born in 1990. Because Homer Simpson as a character is created as a archetype who would have been 36 in the 90s. So it doesn't really make sense that Homer Simpson is a millennial. That just would not be the kind of person he is. It's not what the character is based on. This happens. This is what happens with long-running shows. There's no ideal way to really do it. These things just kind of happen sometimes, and you just kind of have to accept it. But saying that Mr. Krabs is like 86, you're just saying things to say things. The problem with this video and how it's presented is that it's trying to give you answers for the sake of giving you answers. And this is different from something like an Alex Bale video. Like if Alex Bale did like the SpongeBob age theory or something, or if I did the SpongeBob age theory, I probably won't. It's not that interesting of a subject to me. I would find something actually interesting about their ages to talk about. Whereas this, it's kind of like with No Villains Are Safe, where it's like, it's just about presenting you the number, giving you a number, giving you an answer, even if that answer is nonsense. Oh, SpongeBob, because SpongeBob littered in that one episode, he would get a fine of $1,000. That answer comes from nowhere, but we feel like we're getting an answer. And that is what keeps people watching. And that's the issue with this video.
Krabs is a war veteran. He's got the Navy buddies. There's a whole episode where his old crew shows up. And
okay, let me just hear him out. I feel like he's going somewhere stupid with this.
a bunch of them came back wrecked. One's got a torpedo still lodged in him. And then there's the Krusty Krab training video. You know, they say that after the war, Krabs fell into a deep depression. And
yes, we know. Why are you citing evidence? You just said you don't need to reference 2 episodes. You don't even really need to reference 1 episode. You could just say it's been well established that Mr. Krabs is a war veteran. Like, I would take you at face value for that. See how it's padding, it's giving, recapping.
Born in 1942, young adult in the 60s and 70s, and the fact that Bikini Bottom...
Wait, what? That was incorrect. Born in 1942, young adult in the 60s and 70s. Dude, watch the show. That's like Mr. Krabs when he's like 10. Not when in the 60s, in 1960, if you were born in 1942, you would be 18.
And the timeline they keep landing on is Vietnam.
No, it doesn't need to be a real world war. It's a fictional setting. There was just a war somewhere else in the ocean. Bikini Bottom is not in America. I believe they do state once that they have a president, though. They don't even use US dollars. They just look like US dollars. Like they call them dollars. Like they are very similar to US dollars, but they're not. They have different images of like presidents on them, whatever their presidents were in that time. Again, just trying to give answers for answers. They don't tell us. They don't tell us what war he fought in because it's a kid show and they're not going to get into the geopolitical conflicts of the ocean. But Mr. Krabs fought in some unknown war. Like, that is the actual answer. And yeah, that's not as fun of an answer. And maybe if you were a good theorizer, you could maybe look for little hints and be like, ooh, the war was actually this because of this. And that would be an interesting answer. But saying it's Vietnam because of a timeline thing, it's just nonsense.
I want to be clear, the show never names a war. This is just me as a...
Yeah, because it's not Vietnam. It's not Vietnam.
But the dots connect really well here.
They do not.
He might have a second license. Birth date is changed into September 25th, 1960. No.
Dude, like, that's what I was saying. A moving timeline. Looks like a modern episode. Let's say it came out in 2018. That would make Mr. Krabs almost 60. It's like exactly the same as him being born in the 40s in 1999. It's almost the exact same age.
According to the second one, it would mean that he was no more than 39 years old when SpongeBob first...
Wait. So now it's using the second license to say that he was 39 in 1999. It's taking the second license that was in a later episode to canonize Mr. Krabs' age in a previous episode. This is just nonsense. This is just nonsense.
First joined the
I'm
Krusty
so glad you're failing, SpongeTruths. Give up. Just give up. This is not for you.
and around 66 years old this year. You see, the first one is
Oh my god. Do I need to keep complaining about it that it keeps saying that they age with real time?
as friend or foe tells us, the two of them were childhood best friends at Poseidon Elementary. So what
So they're the same age. Is it gonna say that Plankton's a different age from Mr. Krabs? Because wouldn't that just be the end of it? Mr. Krabs is 60. Plankton's the same age as him. He's 60. Why are you doing all this?
whatever age Krabs is, Plankton is basically the same. Call it early 50s, give or take.
No, because you just said that Mr. Krabs was almost 60. And then you showed footage of Plankton and Mr. Krabs being the same age. Again, another thing that channels like this have to do, they have to give slightly different answers. What are all of the characters' ages in SpongeBob? Well, a bunch of them are the same age. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy are the same age. Squidward is maybe slightly older. Mr. Krabs and Plankton are the same age. Karen's a computer. Pearl is 16. Is this video 20 minutes long? This could have been an email. The AI had to find a way to simp for dress Karen. True. It's like the no villains are safe AI. It's like so attracted to Karen in this dress. Who am I to stand in the way of the SpongeTruths AI? SpongeTruths, or the AI that writes SpongeTruths videos. Not for you, all right? It was another man's wife. Find someone else. Find someone single. Come on. Yeah, that's going to be my next theory video. Who would treat Karen better? Plankton or the AI that writes SpongeTruths videos, you know? Plankton has cheated on Karen, you know? Like maybe I might be shipping SpongeTruths and Karen. Do we maybe kind of see it? She could fix him. You think so?
Perfect time to talk about his wife, too, Karen. Since Karen was
Karen is a computer. I mean, I guess computers have ages, sure. This is also not interesting. All right, how old is Karen? Well, how old was Plankton in the Plankton movie when he built Karen? Plankton was a kid. What was he, 10? Plankton's 10 years older than Karen. Applying an age to Karen is just kind of weird. Because, yeah, like Plankton created Karen. Okay, so Karen was age 0 when Plankton created her. Like, just from a literal sense of, like, she existed at this point and this is how many years she's existed. But in terms of mental capacity, in terms of being able to interact with Plankton, Karen aged in the same sense that she got upgraded by Plankton as Plankton got older. So, like, when Plankton created Karen with, like, the calculator and all that in the Plankton movie and all that, like, sort of thing of, you know, he created Karen, you wouldn't think of Karen as an infant when he created her. You would think of it as Karen is a fellow 10-year-old who grew up with Plankton. Or, like, when Plankton goes to college, you know, if Plankton was 10 when he made her, it doesn't mean that Karen was 8 when Karen encouraged Plankton to go to college, provided Plankton went to college when he was 18. Although I think Plankton went to college later because Plankton had to work at Camp Coral in order to make money to go to college. So I think Plankton actually went to college a little later in his life. But still, like, it wouldn't have been that much of, like, an age gap. Like, it's just weird to think about it this way. You know? It's not that it doesn't need to be answered. It's that the answer is not meaningful at all.
Those days, I was just starting out as a security system. Plankton and I met with
Oh, yeah, and look, like, there's inconsistencies, you know? Like, yeah, Karen was a security system when Plankton was a kid with Mr. Krabs. But also in the Plankton movie, he built her as a calculator with a potato. Like, you know, it's... You can't really square the circle. You kind of can't. So the show literally contradict each other. Like, Friend or Foe contradicts the Plankton movie because it shows that Plankton and Mr. Krabs weren't kids together. You know, so, like, that's not even the biggest contradiction in this episode. Like, they're just, like, he's just choosing things that allow him to say a number, whichever number sounds better. Security system takes control of Squidward. I know, the term security system. Every time I see security system anything, I think security system takes control of Squidward's house. I know, it's ruined.
let's say Plankton built her in his early 20s.
What? Wait, why would you bring up that evidence? What are you talking about? There is no textual evidence in the show that Plankton created Karen in his early 20s.
Now, despite being my favorite character, I'll be honest, Squidward gave me the biggest headache of anyone because the
Squidward is SpongeTruths lore? Why is Squidward? That's a weird. I feel like that wasn't AI. I feel like that was written in, right? I think that might actually be the first genuine thing SpongeTruths has ever said. I think the person behind SpongeTruths knows just enough about SpongeBob. They actually do have Squidward as a favorite character. And they wrote that in to make it sound more authentic because everyone says he's relatable. Would AI say, if I said, write me a script for a YouTube video, would AI actually say one of my favorite characters? Is there another video where he says his favorite character is Patrick?
He's got no confirmed birthday in the show. Because when I went hunting for an actual birth year, the number that kept surfacing was October.
He just cited an AI overview. Look at this. Wait, according to the official driver's license shown in the episode SpongeBob and Random Land, Squidward was born on October 9th, 1977. Didn't you just say that they never showed his birthday? Is this just AI hallucinating? All right, here's the episode gallery with all the screenshots of the episode. Does Squidward show his license in SpongeBob and Random Land? He does not show his license. Okay. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is just lying. Screenshotting the AI overview. I thought you wanted to beat the AI allegations, SpongeTruths. So weird. Why would you do Patrick? Patrick is the same as SpongeBob. This is like, well, this is something that like never changed. Like so many things are like contradicted. Patrick and SpongeBob being the same age, that has never been contradicted. Oh my goodness. Don't give me the squirrel years.
And a squirrel only lives about 6 years.
A cartoon. So here's the thing about cartoons. In a cartoon, any character that is an animal but is human-like should always be assumed to have a regular human lifespan unless stated otherwise. This is a universal cartoon rule. Brian Griffin in Family Guy is an exception. Brian Griffin is stated to be, although sometimes it's contradicted, but Brian Griffin is most often stated to be 8 years old, but he's like 50 in dog years. So he acts like he's older because if you're 8, you're older in dog years, and that's a part of the joke of the character. And there are many episodes that acknowledge that Brian is going to die in only a couple of years because he's a dog. He's not going to live as long as Stewie, as Peter, you know, like he's not going to outlive most of the characters because he's a dog. This is explicitly stated in the show. It's used to push the drama of certain episodes. Sandy does not apply to that. Sandy does not live for 6 years because Sandy is a cartoon character that has not been stated to have a lifespan of the animal that she's based off of. And the only reason to not look at the character that way is when you're trying to be sensationalist for your failing YouTube channel. We are doing the pilot one next.
Almost every great show has an equally great
That's so much flashing there.
pilot episode. But SpongeBob's did it kind of...
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Every great show has an
flashing. It's messing with my face. Almost every great show has an equally great pilot episode. That's not true at all. A good pilot episode absolutely does not correlate to a good show. Plenty of shows famously have not very good pilots, or pilots that aren't as good as their later episodes. Some shows have great pilots, like some of the examples here.
Almost every great show has an...
Like, isn't The Simpsons pilot considered kind of clunky? I watched it not too long ago. It's the Christmas episode. I think it's pretty good, but it's not what The Simpsons is known for in terms of quality and humor and all that. It's clunky. Breaking Bad is a really good pilot. That is true. The problem I have with that statement, every great show is an equally great pilot, is that it's saying it just to say it, because it's not true. Like, I guess, you know, like I know shows are subjective or whatever, but like, it's not true that like that's considered to be that way. And I think that because AI just finds what is a thing to say, and it just is like, that's a good opening sentence. That sounds normal. It's actually spreading a like lie, When the more interesting discussion is, yeah, a pilot is usually different from the show itself because it's the first episode, the show finds its footing, and a pilot doesn't necessarily have to be good for a show to be successful. Now, that's not really relevant to bring up for SpongeBob because SpongeBob did have a good pilot. But SpongeBob's pilot is not like the episode that people think of. Like, there's a lot to SpongeBob's pilot that is important in the discussion of SpongeBob and how it established a lot of SpongeBob's charm and it established a lot of its humor. But in terms of like, oh, like what are like the best SpongeBob episodes? What are the best plots, the best moments? It's not really the pilot. You know, it's not. It doesn't mean the pilot's a bad episode. Pilot is a great episode. It's not starting off the discussion very well by just saying this meaningless platitude about pilots so that it could flash a bunch of different show logos and be like, ooh, look, we do fancy editing. Keep watching us, Brain Rock Kids.
But SpongeBob's did it kind of differently, and that's exactly why.
SpongeBob's did it kind of differently. No, it didn't. There's nothing really different about SpongeBob. I mean, define different. Is it different because it's 8 minutes long and most episodes are 11 minutes long? What's different about SpongeBob's pilot? It's actually a pretty standard pilot. It's just a very good show. So the things that are good about the show are present in the pilot. But the pilot itself isn't different from other pilots of shows. Other show, like SpongeBob's pilot, has a lot of things that are very similar about other pilots. It has elements to it that are not seen in later episodes. You know, certain things like the coloring of Mr. Krabs' eyes or whatever, or like Squidward's house having those little things on it. You know, like the voices aren't finalized. The way the characters are designed isn't finalized. But that's every pilot. Every pilot has things that are different from, you know, again, sensationalizing, acting like it's something different because it's the thing that's the subject of the video.
As well as pushing the story off toward the adventure it's going to become.
SpongeBob is not an adventure. SpongeBob is an episodic show that focuses on the daily lives of the characters that exist within the world. Certain episodes may be their own adventures, but like Breaking Bad. Like Breaking Bad is a story that goes from beginning to end. Walt has a goal to become this drug dealer so he makes money for his family, and then he gets all wrapped up in all this other bad stuff during it. That's a specific story that goes through a specific through line. The show itself is not about the daily lives of the characters. It's about how people are affected by Walt's decision to try and reach that specific goal. That is what the show is about. So it sets it off on a specific story. Saying that the SpongeBob pilot sets the show off on a specific story is false. That's not the goal of the pilot. SpongeBob is not that kind of show. The goal of the pilot of a show like SpongeBob is to give the audience a glimpse of what the show is like, establish its comedic tone, establish its characters, establish the kind of stories that you would see in other episodes. And it does that really well. Acting like that's a difference in its pilot rather than it being that's a difference in the kind of show SpongeBob is as compared to a show like Breaking Bad is disingenuous, and acting like there's something sensationalist about SpongeBob's pilot when it really is just a regular pilot. It's almost like taking away from what SpongeBob's pilot actually is. Like, you can look at SpongeBob's pilot and appreciate it as a good episode, as something that set the foundation of the show, but it's not this like special thing like SpongeTruths is acting like it is. Actually, another thing that SpongeBob's pilot does is it establishes that SpongeBob gets the job of the Krusty Krab. So it actually does establish the status quo. It does set off the story a little bit. It actually is closer to a serialized show in that regard, even though it doesn't end up being a serialized show, but it does establish that part of his lore.
Ridiculous way, and goes home exactly who he was when he woke up. And somehow none of
Wait, no. And goes home exactly the way he was when he woke up. Holy media illiteracy. Me when I don't understand the hero's journey. The hero's journey is literally the character goes through something and then they return home changed, being a different person. He gains confidence. He's nervous about getting the job at the Krusty Krab, and he overcomes his lack of confidence, and that's why he earns the job. That is the story of the pilot.
Why is one of the most beloved pilots in cartoon history the one that didn't really follow the rulebook?
The pilot of SpongeBob is successful because it followed so many fundamental writing rules. Oh, characters work, about how cartoons work, about how pacing works. That is like so disrespectful to the people behind the SpongeBob pilot who studied writing and understood how to follow those rules to make the show. Establishing the characters, giving them an arc, characters getting comeuppance with Mr. Krabs and Squidward. They were mean to SpongeBob. They get comeuppance. Hero saves the day. Need I go on? This is something I hate about general media illiteracy too, is the idea that like shows like this, shows like SpongeBob just kind of happen by accident. That it's just like, oh yeah, like what did these, there was another SpongeTruths where SpongeTruths said something like, what do these writers even do? How do they come up with these great jokes? There are things that the SpongeBob writers did that made the show as good as it is. And these things that they did can be studied and defined and replicated by you. You can study what they did by watching the episodes and deconstruct how they did it, how they told their stories, and you can make a show as good as SpongeBob. It's not magic, it's not lightning in a bottle. It is people who were good at their jobs, who were passionate artists, who followed the rules of writing, and then once they understood that, they did their own thing. And I think that that stuff is beautiful and worth commenting on. And when SpongeTruths reduces it to, it just like kind of happened by accident or whatever, in order to just sensationalize a video when they are not intelligent enough to understand the things that I just said, and they do not deserve to have a YouTube channel because they do not have the knowledge that is required to have a YouTube channel, which is why I'm glad they're failing, and I hope they continue to fail. These are the things that promote broader media illiteracy and make us, and it makes us complacent to the show being bad now. People do think that SpongeBob just being bad is just like a thing that happens. Like it's a force of nature that modern SpongeBob isn't good now. It's not. It's a product of decisions and material conditions. And the decisions that they made in the earlier episodes made good episodes, and the decisions that they make now make not as good episodes. And these things can be fixed, and that's what I try to prove with my channel.
Of course the sponge lives in a pineapple. What did you expect? Then we meet our sponge, just waking up from his sleep.
This is just recapping now.
Then working out with a barbell that's held up by...
Dude, it's just going to recap the whole pilot now. It's just going to recap the whole pilot, right?
2 stuffed animals, and basically getting ready for his big day, to apply for a job at the Krusty Krab. And so, right before the 2 minutes mark, we get to the first problem in this story. SpongeBob doesn't feel like he's up to the task. Despite screaming, "I'm ready,"
SpongeBob doesn't feel like he's up to the task. I thought you said that he goes home being the exact same person. So does he changes that perspective? But I thought he was the same. What do you think about art is subjective? How there are persons that like something that is mostly disliked and persons disliking something that is popular? So in a lot of ways, art is subjective. There are a lot of things that are subject to personal taste. Like, for example, someone might not personally enjoy cartoons like SpongeBob, you know, and does enjoy like more just grounded, you know, sitcom-y shows or grounded dramas or something like that. Like there's parts of art that are subjective, but there also are parts of art that are objective. I often talk about how stories that have lessons and deep themes and meanings are objectively better. And people will be like, well, like art is subjective, so like I like it. And it's like saying that it's objectively better because it's better for the world. It's better for like results. Because I believe that the arts serve a social function of broadening people's perspectives and challenging authority and, teaching lessons, teaching moral lessons. I think that this is the social function of the arts. I think that is why they exist. Closest you can get to concrete evidence for such a claim is that just about all of the socially relevant pieces of media and stories follow those rules to the point where there must be a correlation between stories being deep, stories having lessons, and stories being popular. There must be a correlation, because if there wasn't a correlation between those things, you would have a more even split, or you would have more of a majority of stories that were shallow, that were weaker. And that is just not the case. And it's easier to make shallow stories. So there would be more shallow stories if it wasn't necessary to make stories deep for people to watch them. Now, shallow stories still exist, but they often exist because they are propped up by something else. For example, modern SpongeBob is allowed to be shallow. It's able to get away with it because classic SpongeBob did follow the rules that make shows resonate with people. And now, because SpongeBob is already popular, it's going to be successful anyway. And that makes them able to get away with making it bad. Whereas if a new show just came out tomorrow and it had the same quality as modern SpongeBob, it wouldn't last 3 episodes. It would be gone. No one would watch it. It would get canned.
So when we talked about a show's philosophy, it usually lives inside the main character. And most of the time, it shows up as a lack. Maybe it's respect or freedom, a purpose, a life that doesn't really mean anything.
That is true. That is like weirdly media literate. I do have to like, I mean, again, like it's AI. It found like, you know, like AI can find things that sound profound. It's that it's not going to ever be able to connect those profound things and properly teach you about them. And it's also going to be mired in so much recapping and media illiterate takes that it's not going to matter when you get something like this. When someone is telling a story, they're trying to share a perspective that they hold. And generally the way that they do that is they make the protagonist hold the opposite perspective, and then they punish the protagonist, and the protagonist is forced to change. And when the protagonist changes their perspective from the negative perspective to the positive perspective, you show the audience that they should hold that perspective. That's basically what it's saying, which is a good thing to say, you know, but it's mired in all of this nonsense.
He wakes up in the first 30 seconds already the happiest he will ever be.
False. Well, yes, he's happy in the beginning. Wait. So, it's saying the pilot doesn't do this. So it's saying that, most shows have the main character, the protagonist of most shows has an opposite perspective, and they change that perspective, and that's what tells the story. But SpongeBob doesn't change. Dude, you just said in your recap that he was nervous about going into the Krusty Krab. That's the story. He's anxious. And then he trips on the nail because he goes in, and the nervousness is why he trips on the nail. And then because he overcame that, because he made the choice to do it, he gets the hydrodynamic spatula and he earns the victory at the end.
There's no wound from the past, no emptiness, or even quiet sadness the show is going to slowly heal.
He says, I can't do it. That is present in the pilot. Not all characters need some insane backstory, man, especially not in SpongeBob. Exactly. Like, SpongeBob doesn't have... Yeah, it's saying something that, like, the pilot's different because SpongeBob doesn't have, like, an insane backstory. Like, plenty of cartoon characters don't have insane backstories. Does Bugs Bunny have an insane backstory? Does Kermit the Frog have an insane backstory? But what SpongeBob does have is an insecurity about not being good enough for the Krusty Krab job, and that's the thing that he overcomes, and that's what makes the pilot work.
That sounds like a flat character, or a pilot episode with no arc.
Who made a
It's not. Literally has an arc.
spatula out of toothpicks and woodchuck?
I did.
And remember that weird pep talk? Patrick doesn't tell SpongeBob he can do it, as in he could change to be a better version of himself. He reminds him of who he already is. First words,
Still an arc, bro. Again, this is why, like, SpongeTruths should not have a channel. This is why I don't feel bad. Like, I look at this channel and how it's getting less views, and I may be responsible for that. Good. I'm glad. I don't care. And I know, like, it probably hires editors, you know, I'm sure the person behind it, they could even be from an impoverished area, and they're doing this to get ahead. It's a net negative. The existence of these videos is a net negative for the world. And for that reason, I would be glad to see them go. And it's unfortunate if there's some editor where it's their livelihood to do this, but like, okay, the Death Star had employees too.
the story always jumps around doing whatever they wanted that day.
Again, that's every cartoon. That's every show. What do you mean? The story did whatever it wanted to do that day? Stories work because good writers find what their characters should do in order to teach a lesson and share their perspective in a way that is entertaining and meaningful to the audience. These are things that can be defined. These are things that can be observed. It's not just things that happen where people make random choices. That's true for SpongeBob and it's true for Breaking Bad. It's true for every good story. That would apply to actually modern SpongeBob. Yeah, the writers just kind of do whatever they felt like that day. Yeah, because they aren't thinking about the story and it makes for bad episodes. But the original SpongeBob episodes, the early seasons, they did not do that. And then they certainly didn't do that in the pilot.
Like a Sunday afternoon as a kid, where the plot was just whatever you and your friends decided to play next. So
that is not how good SpongeBob episodes were written. That is so, like, again, like this is the most telling part of this video. Like a Sunday afternoon with your friends where the plot was whatever you decided to do. That is so insulting to the people who work on this show. That is so insulting. If my job was to make a TV show, which I hope it will be one day. That's kind of one of the goals of this channel. I put in all of the work that was meant to make a TV show, and some AI video essay was like, yeah, this is just like when you like pal around when you're with your friends and like just like do whatever. Maybe it's carefully calculated to feel that way. Like it's a way to like feel like it feels like it's just random fun because the writers are so good at their job that they make it feel fluid. But that's not how the show was approached. Maybe it's how it's approached now in the modern era. But I don't think I'd even be that tough. Maybe a little bit. Maybe in the modern episodes, they're kind of just like, yeah, whatever. But I think that has to do a little bit more with executives not giving the writers enough time to work on it. It's a whole thing. So I posted this 3 hours ago. This How Old Is Every SpongeBob character came out 1 day ago. It has 10K views. I'm already beating SpongeTruths. I'm getting more views than SpongeTruths, guys. I'm actually beating them. Like there was some times when I was first going over SpongeTruths, I was a bit of a smaller channel at the time. I was still doing pretty well back when I started covering SpongeTruths, but like, oh, SpongeTruths, like they get so much more views than me. Like they don't deserve it. And here I am. Posted this today. And it's beating SpongeTruth's video that was yesterday. I know it says 9.5. It's actually like over 11K now. It just doesn't update immediately. This is going to get more views than this video. Like it's just, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe sometimes they move differently, but that's pretty cool. And like, I know they have a lot of subscribers, but like, let's be real. These are like dead subscribers. 146K subscribers. You should not be averaging 10K views. If you're averaging 10K views and you have 146K subscribers, you're in trouble. If you're averaging 10K views and you have even 17K subscribers, you're probably in good shape. If you're averaging 10K views and you have 5,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, you're in good shape. You are growing. Not with 146K. This is a dip. There is something going on. They are in trouble. And like, who knows? Who knows? I hope this does mean that they're going to eventually die out and be done. I really am hoping for that. But like, who knows? Like this got 629,000. It was only 2 months ago. Like they could post something that like hits the algorithm in a certain way and then they're back. I really don't know. It's really just how many of these failing 10K videos, how many is it going to take for them to give up? And how soon is their next one that actually would pop off? If there ever would be one that would pop off again. And am I responsible? Am I responsible for the fall of SpongeTruths? It's got to be more Ava, just by pure numbers. It's definitely more Ava. Definitely more Ava. I'd be disingenuous if I said it was all me, but hey, I think I'm playing a part. So anyway, that's going to be the end of that. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe and do all that fancy stuff, and I will see you next time.